Hey guys, I'm Craig, and today for the Surfboard Guide, we're going to check out the new Bobby Quad by Channel Islands Surfboards. So the Bobby Quad is a short, stumpy, they say it's a small wave groveler, new kind of offering from Channel Islands Surfboards. There's a whole range of stock dimensions, but mine is actually a custom. So this is 5'6" by 19 7/8, 2 and 5/8, and it's exactly 32 liters. So looking over the Bobby Quad, it's pretty short, 5'6", I'm 5'10" and a half, holds a lot of width through its outline, a lot of fullness through that front end, and it's got a nice wide tail, so a lot of width in the outline and the plan shape. Flipping it over a little bit, low entry rocker, a little bit of flip through the nose, which surprisingly keeps out a lot of trouble, especially in bigger and better waves, which I'll talk more about later. A little bit of lift through the tail. The deck of the tail is fairly flat. It's mainly through the rail rocker where it gets a bit of rocker through the tail. Flipping it over the bottom, I think Channel Islands are saying it's flat through the front. Can't really feel anything right here, but you can feel this double come through the center. It's quite deep. The double through this bit here, you know, this area is fairly deep. And then you see it kind of fades away through the back, through the tail, and it just kind of changes the rail rocker. So you've got the rocker that goes along the stringer through the center of the board. And because that double and the rail rocker fades away, it just gives a bit of like a natural kind of V, not so much off the tail, but off the stringer to the rail, making it really easy to surf and turn, and not making quads can sometimes be a bit tracky and a bit sticky, but definitely doesn't do that. Makes it really easy, feels really nice to back foot, and really nice to turn. And I'll talk more about that later, and you'll see a few clips as well. I've had the Bobby Quad for a while now, so I think it's been available for customers. I think it came out of the US first, available Australia last few months. I actually got it, you know, quite a while ago, maybe, I don't know, best part of 10 months ago. It doesn't have the model decals on it, didn't really know much about it. And all I'd actually seen was, you know, Bobby is an amazing surfer, everyone's favorite, whether it's for his interviews and his honesty or just he's an absolute ripper. But I've been seeing him ride really small and really stumpy boards for a few years now. And I kept seeing these clips of, I don't know the wave around that. I've been there before, but haven't really surfed there, but that Ventura to sort of Santa Barbara area, I keep seeing like him, Dane Reynolds, I think even like Yaden, stuff like that, always surfing this kind of pumping kind of left that's always offshore, and you know, I don't think it'd be like that every day. But anyway, I saw these clips of Bobby. The wave's like 6 foot plus. He's taking off on this little thing, pulling in these nugget barrels, big Bobby wraps. We all know how he surfs. And I'm like, wow, that board looks amazing. So having seen that and then getting the board, I didn't know, is this a small wave groveler? Is this like a really stumpy good wave board like Kelly had the Deep Six or whatever it was years ago? You know, when people were really short in their bigger wave boards. Wasn't really sure where it's at. And actually my first surf for the board, I took it out in some, you know, kind of 6 foot and pumping waves, and it went okay. It was a bit hard to paddle into waves, but definitely with a quad, everything going on the board, it held its own. But I'm not Bobby Martinez, and it's not really something I'd take out for 6 foot pumping waves, but it did go well when the waves got a little bit better. Since then, I've had a chance to surf it in a variety of waves. Like I said, I've had it for quite a while. I've taken it out when it's kind of, you know, 1 to 2 foot shories, little rip bowls, you know, reforms, when it's been a little bit bigger and better. And Channel Islands talk about the board being a groveler. They talk about it being a real gas pedal under the front foot. And, you know, it went okay in those grovelly little waves. 32 liters is probably my shortboard volume now. Had I redone this and got it as a pure groveler, probably would have added a little bit more volume, probably like 33 and a half, just so it had that kind of, that float and that kind of grovel capability. But what I really liked about the Bobby Quad was when waves hit kind of like the chest to head high range, didn't have to be good, could be junky, could be good. So kind of like, you know, chest to head high to overhead. I absolutely loved it. Whether it was full or there was a bit of shape, actually especially when there's a bit of shape because it fit really nice in a pocket and it really enjoyed doing a nice tight wrap. That's when I actually really enjoyed the Bobby Quad. You know, the volume, like I said, it's probably a little bit under what I'd get in a groveler right now, but the volume sits right where you need it. And it makes paddling pretty easy. And it gets onto waves, but it just gets across flat sections. It has a lot of get up and go and a lot of pace, and it's a really quick board. So yeah, it was something I was grabbing when the waves were, you know, not pumping, but you know, had a bit of push in them, bit of peak, few sections, and it went really, really well. What I actually really enjoyed is, I guess there's no, so many boards have come out recently with, you know, 5 fin setups. So you've got the option of thruster, quad, to put all 5 in if you really want. But this thing is just like, it's die hard committed. You are riding this board as a quad. There's no ifs or buts about it. So finding out a quad set that really works is really important. When quads work for me, I love them, and I love putting them on rail. You just feel like, you know, you're almost on tracks and you can do no wrong, and you almost get more speed out of your turns, and it just feels amazing. I know people sometimes say like the pinnacle of surfing is, you know, getting a really good barrel or doing an air or something like really progressive. I love just getting aboard the rail and just feeling it grip through the face of the wave, and just being able to do a really nice wrap with a bit of push through it. And the bobby quad does it really, really well. In the bobby quad, I tried a few different fin setups, and what I came to was a bit of a blend here. So in the front, we have the AM1 Techflex by Futures. So Techflex, a little bit stiffer carbon, and the AM1 is a medium template. And in the back is the trailers for the AM2 Techflex 5 fin or quad setup. The AM Techflex are really quite stiff, and I'm a pretty heavy guy, so you'd think at, you know, 95 kilos, maybe a little bit more, I'd be able to ride the AM2 quad set, but it was just too much grip, and I found the board really quite difficult to turn. I left the quad rears in the back, because you'll actually find with Futures and FCS, a lot of their quad rears are very, very similar templates. But then I went to the front with the AM1s, slightly smaller. Actually, when you look at the fins, there isn't a huge amount of size difference between the front and the back, but there is more surface area, obviously, in the AM1s, the leading fins. But this felt absolutely perfect. It had the great blend of, you know, that grip that I was talking about when you get that board in the water, get that rail and a big wrap. Felt absolutely perfect, but it still had a nice bit of a release. It wasn't too much fin that I couldn't turn the board, or it felt tracky, or, you know, I wasn't having a good time. So I felt AM1 to the front, AM2 Techflex in the rear were a really good blend. Speaking to some of the guys at Channel Islands, they were saying some of the Gadascas brothers and that were riding the board, and they enjoy the EA quad set by Futures Fins. So really, if there's a quad set you like, I'd probably throw it in here. Maybe not something too big. You still want a bit of liveliness, a bit of looseness, and a bit of fun, because the bobby quad is meant to be, you know, a small and average wave board. So if there's something you like, throw it in there, and I'm sure it'll work. Overall, I really enjoyed the bobby quad. For the waves I get, you know, in Sydney, we get a mix of average waves. It's generally kind of 2 to 5 foot. There wasn't too much this couldn't do. You know, groveled fairly well when waves were weak, or, you know, didn't have too much push. But like I said, it still held its own when it was a little bit bigger and better. I definitely felt that it felt at home when the waves were kind of in that chest to head high range. When there was a bit of push, but, you know, it's not pumping. It could turn really well. It held a rail really well. You know, there's a nice bit of curve through the board, a bit of lift in the nose, that nice tail rocker. You know, if you get barrels or steeper sections, it'll surf really, really well. Like I said, also, 32 litres, it sits about the same as my shortboard volume now. Had I to reorder this board and get it as like a pure groveler, I'd probably add 1 litre to 1.5 litres above my shortboard volume. So if I'm reordering this board, I'm probably looking at about 33.5 litres, and I think the stock 5.8 sits around then. I actually got a chance to pick up a stock 5.8 in Spine Tech when I was at Onboard, where Channel Islands are in Australia, and the thing felt absolutely mental. I would recommend, I didn't get to surf it, but having felt it under the arm and just the board felt so lively, if you're looking at this for a pure groveler, also have a look at Spine Tech. Spine Tech's a great epoxy construction, and I think if you're looking for the bobby quad as a small wave groveler, especially coming into summer in Australia, I think the bobby quad in Spine Tech will go absolutely mental. Look, overall, I've loved it, and I want to thank Channel Islands and Onboard Store for the chance to check out the bobby quad. Hopefully you get a chance to check one out too. Thanks so much for watching.